The glass doors slammed shut behind him like a verdict. Malik Renard stood in the lobby of Horizon Group headquarters, sweat still dampening his collar from the roadside heat. His reflection stared back at him from the polished floor, a man who'd driven 40 miles rehearsing answers he'd never get to give. The receptionist looked up from her desk. Her eyes swept over him once, then twice, like she was scanning for something out of place. "You're here for the coordinator interview?" Her tone carried weight he'd heard before, the kind that measured and dismissed in the same breath. "Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, you're 45 minutes late." His hands went still at his sides. "I helped someone whose car broke down on." She sighed loud enough for the security guard to glance over. "Sir, the hiring director doesn't have time for excuses. Before we go further, if you love stories about real-life justice and second chances, hit that like button right now. You won't believe what happens next." Footsteps echoed across the marble floor. Sharp, confident, the kind that announced arrival before the person appeared. Grant Laramie walked over in a suit that cost more than Malik's rent. His jaw was set like stone, his eyes cold as winter pavement. He didn't extend his hand, didn't even pretend. "Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. So you're the single dad who begged for a chance?" Grant said it loud enough for two other employees to turn and look. Malik felt heat crawl up his neck. "I didn't beg. I applied." Grant chuckled. "Not a laugh. A dismissal. Well, your time management alone disqualifies you. And frankly, we need people who understand professionalism." The words came out smooth, practiced, like he'd said them before to other people who looked like Malik. "Sir, please." There was a woman stranded on Route 9. Her car overheated. The highway was empty. "I couldn't just." "Look," Grant cut him off with a raised hand. "This company can't gamble on unreliability." The pause hung in the air. That half second of silence said everything the words didn't. Malik swallowed the sting. He'd seen that look too many times. In grocery stores, at parent-teacher meetings, in rooms where he was the only one who had to prove he belonged. Grant scribbled something on a file in his hand and snapped it shut. The sound cracked through the lobby like a gavel. Application denied. No empathy. No second question. No chance to explain that he'd stayed with that woman until the tow truck arrived because leaving her alone at dusk felt wrong. That he'd lent her his phone because hers had died. That he'd sacrificed the one opportunity that could have changed everything for him and his daughter. Malik turned toward the glass doors. His reflection moved with him. A man walking out with nothing but shame and rage and the crushing weight of doing the right thing in a world that punished him for it. His phone buzzed once in his pocket. He didn't check it. He thought it was over. But the woman he'd helped on that empty highway was already on her way. The alarm went off at 5:43 in the morning. Malik's hand slapped the phone screen before his eyes fully opened. The apartment was still dark except for the glow of the streetlight bleeding through the thin curtains. He sat up slowly. His back ached from the secondhand mattress that had been sagging for 2 years. Rent was due in 6 days. The medical bill from Leora's last checkup sat on the kitchen counter next to the overdue electric notice. He rubbed his face and stood. The floor was cold beneath his feet as he walked to the bathroom. The mirror showed a man who looked older than 31. Eyes heavy, jaw tight, a face that hadn't fully relaxed in months. But today was supposed to be different. Today was the interview, the one that came with insurance. Stable hours, a future where he didn't have to choose between groceries and gas. He showered fast, shaved careful, and put on the one dress shirt he owned that didn't have a stain. By 6:15, he was in the kitchen making scrambled eggs and toast. Leora's backpack sat by the door, already packed. Her drawing of the two of them, stick figures holding hands under a yellow sun, was pinned to the fridge with a magnet shaped like a star. She padded into the kitchen at 6:30, rubbing her eyes. Her hair was wild, her pajamas wrinkled. She looked at him and smiled. "You look fancy, Daddy." He grinned. "Yeah? You think they'll like me? They're gonna love you." She climbed into the chair and picked up her fork. "You're gonna get it. I know it." He knelt beside her and pulled her into a hug. Her small arms wrapped tight around his neck. She smelled like lavender shampoo and sleep. "Thank you, baby girl," he whispered. She pulled back and looked at him with those big brown eyes that saw more than an 8-year-old should. Promise? He kissed her forehead. I promise. He dropped her off at the neighbor's house at 7. Mrs. Daniels waved from the porch, Leora already running inside to play with the other kids. Malik got into his car. A 10-year-old sedan with a cracked windshield and a check engine light that had been on for 3 months, and pulled onto the road. The highway stretched ahead of him, long empty. Golden fields on either side caught the early light. He rehearsed answers in his head. Why do you want this position? Because I need to take care of my daughter. What's her biggest strength? I don't quit, even when I should. His phone sat in the cup holder, GPS counting down the miles. 32 minutes away. He had time, plenty of time. He allowed himself to hope. Today was supposed to save him. But the road ahead wasn't empty. The farmland blurred past on both sides of the highway. Golden wheat fields stretched toward the horizon like an ocean frozen midwave. Malik kept his hands steady on the wheel. His chest felt lighter than it had in weeks, maybe months. The interview was in 28 minutes. He'd arrive early, shake hands, make eye contact, show them he was the kind of man who showed up when it mattered. His daughter's voice echoed in his head. You're gonna get it, Daddy. He let himself picture it, walking into the apartment tomorrow with the news. Leora jumping into his arms. Finally being able to say yes when she asked for new shoes or wanted to order pizza on Friday. A life where he wasn't drowning. The GPS chimed. Continue straight for 12 miles. He pressed his foot a little harder on the gas. Not speeding, just eager. The road curved gently to the left. Trees began to appear, sparse at first, then thicker. The sunlight broke through the branches in shafts that looked almost holy. His phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Daniels. Leora says good luck. He smiled. 23 minutes now. The engine hummed. The tires rolled smooth over fresh asphalt. Everything felt aligned, like the universe had finally stopped pushing against him. He crested a small hill, and that's when he saw it. A car on the shoulder. Hood raised. White steam curling into the morning air like smoke signals. A woman stood beside it, young, frustrated. Her hand pressed to her forehead as she stared at the engine like it had personally betrayed her. Malik's foot eased off the gas. The highway was empty. No cars behind him. None coming from the opposite direction. Help might not come for an hour, maybe more. His eyes flicked to the dashboard clock. 22 minutes. He could make it. He could still make it if he didn't stop. But his hands were already turning the wheel. He pulled on his shoulder 30 feet behind her car. Gravel crunched under his tires. The engine ticked as he shut it off. The woman looked up. Relief washed over her face, so fast it almost hurt to see. Thank God, she said as he stepped out. You're the first person to stop. Malik walked toward her, rolling up his sleeves. The heat from the engine hit him before he even reached the hood. What happened? I don't know. It just started smoking and then it died. Her voice shook slightly. I have a meeting in an hour and my phone's dead and It's okay, he said. Let me take a look. He leaned over the engine. The radiator hissed. Coolant pooled beneath the car in a dark puddle. You've got a blown gasket. Maybe a cracked radiator. Either way, you're not driving this anywhere. She pressed her hands to her face. This day is unbelievable. Malik pulled out his phone. Here, use mine. Call a tow truck. She looked at him like he'd just offered her a life raft in the middle of the ocean. Are you serious? Yeah, go ahead. She took the phone with both hands and dialed. Malik glanced at his car, at the road, at the clock on his dashboard that he could still see from here. 18 minutes. The tow company put her on hold. 15 minutes. They said they'd send someone, but it might take 30 minutes. Maybe 40. Malik felt his stomach drop like an elevator with cut cables. But he didn't leave. The woman paced beside her car. Malik's phone pressed to her ear. Her voice carried across the empty highway, rising and falling with frustration. Yes, I understand you're busy, but I'm stranded on Route 9 in... She paused, listened. Her jaw tightened. 45 minutes? Are you serious? Malik checked his watch. The hands moved like they were mocking him. 16 minutes until the interview. He could leave now. Give her the phone. Wish her luck. get back on the road, and maybe still make it. But the highway was still empty. Not a single car had passed in the last 10 minutes. Leaving her alone felt wrong. She hung up and handed him the phone. They said someone's coming. Eventually, her laugh was hollow. Thank you. Really, I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't stopped. It's all right. His voice sounded steadier than he felt. She looked at him closer now, at the dress shirt, the tie that didn't quite match, the shoes he'd polished this morning. Wait, do you have somewhere to be? He hesitated. Yeah, a job interview. Her face fell. Oh no, when? He checked the time again. 14 minutes. God, I'm so sorry. You should go. I'll be fine. But even as she said it, her eyes darted toward the empty road, toward the shadows stretching longer as the sun climbed higher. Malik looked at her, then at his car, then at the road that stretched endlessly in both directions. He thought about Leora, about the promise he'd made, about the bills on the counter and the future that had felt so close he could almost taste it. But he also thought about what it meant to be the kind of man his daughter believed he was. I'll wait with you, he said. No, you can't. You'll miss your interview. I know. The words came out quiet. Final. She stared at him. Why would you do that? He didn't have a good answer. Or maybe he did, but it wasn't one that made sense to people who hadn't spent their whole lives being invisible unless they were needed. Because someone should, he said. The sun beat down on the asphalt. The minutes crawled past like prisoners dragging chains. 12 minutes. 10. 8. A truck finally appeared on the horizon. Yellow lights flashing. It pulled onto the shoulder and a driver climbed out. Heavy boots, grease-stained shirt, a clipboard in one hand. You call for a tow? Yes. Thank God. The woman signed the paperwork, thanked Malik 3 more times, and climbed into the truck's passenger seat. Malik watched the tow truck pull away. The yellow lights faded into the distance until they were just pinpricks. Then nothing. He stood alone on the empty highway. The interview was in 6 minutes. He got back in his car, turned the key. The engine sputtered once before catching. He pressed the gas, and the tires spun gravel before finding asphalt. But even as he drove, he knew, by the time he arrived, the interview would be over. He checked the rearview mirror one last time. The road behind him was empty again, like nothing had happened, like the universe had already moved on. But somewhere in a glass building 40 miles away, a man in a sharp suit was about to make a decision that would cost Malik everything. What Malik didn't know was that someone had been watching the whole time. The Horizon Group building rose from the landscape like a monument to things Malik couldn't afford. Glass and steel, clean lines, a parking lot full of cars that didn't have cracked windshields or check engine lights. He pulled into a visitor spot and checked the time. 43 minutes late. His hands gripped the steering wheel. His chest felt tight. Every logical part of his brain screamed at him to turn around, to go home, to stop humiliating himself before it got worse. But he'd promised Leora. He shut off the engine and walked toward the entrance. The automatic doors slid open with a whisper. Cold air hit him immediately. The lobby smelled like expensive cleaning products and success he'd never touched. A receptionist sat behind a curved desk that looked like it cost more than his car. She looked up. That's when everything started to collapse. Her eyes swept over him. Once. Twice. She didn't smile. Can I help you? Yes, ma'am. I'm here for the coordinator interview. My name's Malik Renard. Her fingers paused over the keyboard. She checked the screen. You're 45 minutes late. Yes, ma'am. I apologize. There was an emergency on the highway. A woman's car broke down and... Sir, she cut him off with the kind of patience people use when they've already decided you don't matter. The hiring director doesn't have time for excuses. Heat crawled up the back of his neck. It's not an excuse. It's what happened. She reached for the phone. Let me see if Mr. Laramie is still available. She spoke in low tones. Malik caught fragments. Late, claims there was an emergency. I know, but... She hung up and folded her hands on the desk. He'll see you. Briefly, Malik exhaled. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Footsteps echoed from somewhere deeper in the building. Sharp, deliberate. Grant Laramie appeared from a hallway. His suit was charcoal gray. His tie was perfectly knotted. His shoes reflected the overhead lights like mirrors. He looked at Malik the way someone looks at a stain on expensive upholstery. "Mr. Renard." "Yes, sir. I'm sorry I'm late." "There was. Save it." Grant crossed his arms. "You're 45 minutes late to the most important appointment of your life. That tells me everything I need to know about your priorities." Malik's jaw tightened. "Sir, with all due respect, I stopped to help someone whose car broke down. She was stranded on an empty highway. I couldn't just leave her there." Grant's expression didn't change. If anything, it hardened. "So you chose a stranger over your own future." "I chose to do the right thing. And look where that got you." The words landed like fists. Grant opened the folder in his hands. He glanced at the top page. His eyes moved fast. Dismissive. Single father. 2 part-time jobs. No degree. He looked up. "Tell me, Mr. Renard, why should I take a chance on someone who can't even show up on time?" Malik's hands curled into fists to the sides. He forced them to relax. "Because I work harder than anyone you'll interview. Because I show up. Because I don't quit. Except you didn't show up today. I did. I'm here. 45 minutes late. Because I helped someone." Grant closed the folder. The sound echoed through the lobby like a door slamming shut. This company can't gamble on unreliability. There was again. That pause. That look. The thing neither of them said out loud, but both of them heard. Malik's throat burned. "You don't know anything about me." "I know enough." Grant handed the folder to the receptionist. Application denied. No handshake. No second thought. No acknowledgement that Malik had just sacrificed everything to be here. Grant turned and walked back down the hallway. His footsteps faded into silence. The receptionist didn't look at him. "You can see yourself out." Malik stood there for 5 seconds. 10, waiting for something, anything, but nothing came. He turned and walked toward the glass doors. His reflection moved with him, a man who'd lost before the fight even started. The door slid shut behind him. He sat in his car for a long time, hand on the wheel, eyes staring at nothing. His phone buzzed. "Mrs. Daniels. Leora is asking how it went. What should I tell her?" He stared at the screen until it went dark. Then he started the engine and drove home. What he didn't know was that someone had recorded everything. Every word, every pause, every moment of humiliation. And in 3 days, that recording would bring him back to this building. But next time, he wouldn't be walking in alone. The apartment door clicked shut behind him. Malik stood in the narrow hallway. The walls pressed in from both sides. Leora's backpack sat by the couch where she'd left it that morning. Her cereal bowl still sat in the sink. Everything looked exactly the same, but nothing was. He walked to the kitchen and filled a glass with water. His hand shook slightly as he lifted it to his lips. He set it down without drinking. The rent notice stared at him from the counter. Bold red letters. Final warning. 6 days. He'd been so sure. So close. His phone buzzed. "Mrs. Daniels again. She's getting worried. Should I bring her home?" He texted back. "Give me an hour." He needed to figure out what to say. How to tell his daughter that the promise he'd made that morning, the one she believed in with her whole heart, had shattered before he even walked through the door. The interview replayed in his head. Every word, every look, every moment he'd been measured and found wanting. This company can't gamble on unreliability. That pause. Grant Laramie's eyes scanning him like he was reading a police report instead of a job application. The receptionist's sigh. The security guard's glance. The way the entire lobby had felt like a courtroom where the verdict had already been decided. Malik sank into the couch. His head fell back against the cushion. He'd done the right thing. He knew that. Stopping for that woman had been the only choice that made sense. But Wright didn't pay rent. Wright didn't put food on the table. Wright didn't keep the lights on or cover Leora's school supplies. Wright just left him sitting in an empty apartment with nothing to show for it. He thought about calling his brother, but Terrence had his own family, his own bills, his own life that didn't include bailing out his younger brother every time the world knocked him down. He thought about selling the car, but then how would he get to work? To interviews? To anywhere that might offer a way out? The walls kept pressing in. His phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. But something made him swipe to accept. "Hello. Is this Malik Renard?" A woman's voice. Professional. Clipped. Yes. This is Simone Clark from Horizon Group headquarters. We need you to come to the building immediately. His stomach dropped. I don't work there. We're aware. This is regarding an internal review. Your presence is required. An internal review? For what? I can't discuss details over the phone. Can you be here within the hour? His mind raced. Internal review. That meant investigation. That meant trouble. Had Grant filed some kind of complaint? Was he about to be accused of something? Am I in trouble? A pause. Please just come to the building, Mr. Renard. Ask for me at the front desk. The line went dead. Malik stared at the phone. His heart hammered against his ribs. He texted Mrs. Daniels. Can you keep Leora a little longer? She replied immediately. Of course. Everything okay? He didn't know how to answer that, so he just sent a thumbs up and grabbed his keys. The drive back to Horizon Group felt longer than it should have. Every mile stretched into two. Every traffic light stayed red too long. He rehearsed explanations in his head, defenses, arguments, but he didn't even know what he was defending himself against. The glass building appeared on the horizon. Same reflective windows, same parking lot full of expensive cars. But this time, something was different. Security vehicles near the entrance. People in suits gathered near the lobby doors. A tension in the air that he could feel even from the parking lot. He walked through the automatic doors. The receptionist from earlier wasn't at the desk. A different woman sat there now. Older, her expression unreadable. Malik Renard, he said, I'm here to see Simone Clark. She picked up the phone without a word, spoke quietly, hung up. Someone will escort you. Please wait. He stood near the elevator. His reflection stared back at him from the polished metal doors. 2 minutes passed, then 5. Voices echoed from somewhere deeper in the building. He couldn't make out words, just tones. Urgent, serious. A woman in a navy suit appeared. Mr. Renard? Follow me. She led him down a hallway he hadn't seen before, past conference rooms with glass walls, past offices where people worked behind closed doors. They stopped at a set of double doors. Executive Conference Room B. She pushed them open. The room was full. Senior directors, HR representatives, security personnel, cameras set up in the corner, and standing near the head of the table, the woman from the highway. But she wasn't stressed now, wasn't frustrated, wasn't stranded. She stood with the kind of confidence that filled rooms, that commanded attention without asking for it. Her eyes found his, and she smiled. Malik's breath caught. What was happening? Grant Laramie stood near the window. His face had lost all color. His hands gripped the back of a chair, like it was the only thing keeping him upright. The woman walked toward Malik. Her heels clicked against the tile. Mr. Renard, she said warmly. I was hoping you'd come. He couldn't find words. She extended her hand. I'm Averly Dane, chair of the Horizon Group. The room spun. Chair, not an employee, not a manager. The chair, the owner's daughter, the highest-ranking person in the entire company besides her father. She was the woman he'd helped on the highway, but he didn't know that someone in this room had been waiting to destroy him. Malik's hand moved automatically. He shook hers. Her grip was firm, professional. I don't understand, he said. Averly gestured toward an empty chair. Please, sit. He sat. His legs felt unsteady. She remained standing, turned toward the room. Her expression shifted from warm to steel. 3 days ago, I was stranded on Route 9. My car overheated. No cell service. No one stopped. She looked directly at Grant. Except one person. Grant opened his mouth, closed it. His jaw worked like he was chewing glass. Mr. Renard stopped his car. Averly continued. He helped diagnose the problem. He lent me his phone when mine died. He waited with me until the tow truck arrived. He made sure I wasn't alone. She paused, let the silence build, and then he drove 40 miles to a job interview he was now late for. An interview with this company. Malik's chest tightened. He hadn't told her where he was going, hadn't mentioned the interview, but somehow she knew. Averly walked to the head of the table, picked up a tablet, tapped the screen. When I arrived here that afternoon, I wanted to thank him. I called the front desk and asked if a Malik Renard had checked in. She looked at the HR director, a woman with silver hair and sharp eyes. They told me he had. but that he'd been turned away. The HR director shifted in her seat. So, I asked for the security footage. Avalee tapped the tablet again. A screen on the wall flickered to life. The lobby. Timestamp. 3 days ago. Malik watched himself walk through the glass doors. Watched the receptionist's face. Watched Grant appear. The audio was crystal clear. You're 45 minutes late. I helped someone whose car broke down. Sir, the hiring director doesn't have time for excuses. Malik's stomach turned. Seeing it again felt worse than living it. Grant's voice filled the room. So you're the single dad who begged for a chance? Several people at the table glanced at Grant. His face had gone from pale to red. The video continued. Every word, every pause, every dismissive look. This company can't gamble on unreliability. Avalee stopped the video. The screen froze on Grant's face. On that look, the one that said everything without saying anything. Mr. Laramie, Avalee said quietly, would you like to explain this? Grant cleared his throat. Ma'am, I was simply following company protocol. He was late, significantly late. We have standards. He was late because he helped me. Her voice cut through his excuses like a blade. And you didn't care why. You didn't ask. You didn't listen. I couldn't have known. You should have. She set the tablet down. But even if you didn't know it was me, that doesn't excuse what happened here. She turned to the room. Mr. Renard sacrificed his own opportunity to help a stranger. And he was mocked, dismissed, humiliated. Grant tried again. Ma'am, I was simply assessing his time management. You were assessing him. Avalee's eyes locked onto Grant's. And you decided he wasn't worth your time before he even spoke. The room went silent. Avalee walked toward Malik. She stopped in front of his chair. Mr. Renard, I reviewed your application myself. Your work history, your references, your qualifications. She smiled. You're exactly the kind of person we want here. If you'll accept, the coordinator position is yours. Malik couldn't breathe, couldn't move. His voice cracked. I would be honored. Good. She turned back to the table. And as of today, Mr. Laramie is suspended pending a full investigation into discriminatory hiring practices. Grant's face crumbled. You can't. I can. And I am. Avalee's voice didn't rise. Didn't need to. You're dismissed. Security stepped forward. Grant looked around the room. No one met his eyes. He walked toward the door, each step heavier than the last. The doors closed behind him. Avalee turned back to Malik. Welcome to Horizon Group, Mr. Renard. He stood. His throat felt tight. Thank you. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. You already proved who you are. She extended her hand again. He shook it. HR will contact you tomorrow with onboarding details. Full benefits. Stable hours. Everything you were promised. Malik nodded. His eyes burned, but he didn't let the tears fall. Not here. Not yet. Thank you, he said again. She smiled. Thank you, Mr. Renard, for reminding me that kindness still exists. The meeting ended. People filed out. The room emptied. Malik walked through the lobby, through the glass doors, into the parking lot. He got in his car, closed the door, and then he let the tears come. But they weren't tears of pain anymore. They were something else entirely. 1 week later, Malik sat at a desk that didn't wobble, a computer that didn't freeze, a chair that didn't squeak. The office hummed with the quiet efficiency of people who knew what they were doing. Phones rang, keyboards clicked, conversations moved like currents. He checked the schedule on his screen. Orientation at 10. Team meeting at 2. Time to pick up Leora at 3:30. 3:30, not 6. Not whenever his second job let him leave. 3:30. Every day, his phone buzzed. A text from Leora. Mrs. Daniels must have let her send it during lunch. Daddy, are you at work? He smiled. Typed back. Yes, baby. I'll pick you up after school. 3 dots appeared. Then why? He set the phone down, looked around the office. A woman at the next desk glanced over. First week. First day, actually. She smiled. You'll do great. Welcome to the team. Thank you. People kept saying that. Welcome. Like he belonged here. Like he'd earned this. And maybe he had. Not through interviews or resumes or saying the right things, but through stopping on an empty highway when no one else would. At 3:15, He logged off, grabbed his jacket, walked to his car. The drive to Leora's school took 12 minutes. He parked in the pickup lane and waited. Kids poured out of the double doors, backpacks bouncing, voices loud and bright. Then he saw her. Leora ran toward the car. Her smile could have powered the entire city. He got out and caught her as she jumped into his arms. "Daddy, hey, baby girl." She pulled back, looked at him. "You really got the job?" "I really got it." She hugged him tighter. "I knew you would." "I knew it." He held her for a long moment, right there in the pickup lane with cars waiting behind him. Then he set her down, opened the door. She climbed into the back seat. "Can we get ice cream?" He laughed. "Yeah, we can get ice cream." They drove to the shop on 5th Street, ordered 2 cones, sat at the table by the window. Leora talked about her day, about math class, about the book they were reading. Malik listened, really listened, not distracted by bills or schedules or the weight of everything falling apart, just present. When they got home, she ran inside to do homework. He followed her in and set his keys on the counter. The rent notice was gone. He'd paid it yesterday, on time, in full. The medical bill was next, then the electric, then everything else that had been piling up for months. One by one, he'd clear them, not because life suddenly got easy, but because he'd been given a chance by someone who'd been watching when he didn't know anyone was. That night, after Leora went to bed, he sat on the couch. The apartment was quiet. He thought about everything: the highway, the broken car, the interview, the humiliation, the phone call that changed everything. He didn't know who Averly was when he helped her. Didn't expect anything back. He just done what felt right. And somehow, that had been enough. His phone buzzed. An email from Averly. "Mr. Renard, I wanted to reach out personally and thank you again. What you did for me went beyond kindness. It reminded me why I do this work. If you ever need anything, my door is open. Averly." He read it twice, then set the phone down. Tomorrow he'd go back to work, back to the desk and the schedule and the life he'd been fighting for. But tonight, he just sat in the quiet. And for the first time in a long time, he felt like he could breathe. But the story wasn't over yet. 2 months later, Malik walked into the Horizon Group conference room carrying a folder and a coffee that actually tasted good. The coordinator position had turned into something more. Project lead, team management, responsibilities that came with respect. Averly sat at the head of the table. She nodded as he entered. "Malik, good to see you." "You too." The meeting started. Budget reports, quarterly goals, strategic planning for the next phase of operations. He contributed, offered ideas, made suggestions that people actually listened to. Halfway through, Averly's assistant knocked on the door. "Ms. Dane, there's someone here to see you." Averly frowned. "I don't have any appointments right now." "I know, but he says it's urgent." She glanced at the room. "Give me a moment." She stood and walked out. The door closed behind her. Malik checked his notes, highlighted a section, took another sip of coffee. The door opened again, but Averly wasn't alone. A man in his 60s walked in beside her. Gray hair, sharp suit, the kind of presence that made people sit up straighter without realizing it. Everyone in the room recognized him immediately. Donovan Dane, founder and CEO of the Horizon Group. Averly's father. He scanned the room. His eyes stopped on Malik. "Mr. Renard?" Malik stood. "Yes, sir." Donovan walked over, extended his hand. Malik shook it. The man's grip was firm, measured. "I've been hearing a lot about you. Good things, I hope." Donovan smiled. "Very good things. My daughter told me what you did for her, what it cost you, and what kind of person you are." Malik didn't know what to say, so he just nodded. Donovan turned to the room. "I want everyone here to understand something. This company was built on principles. Integrity, respect, doing the right thing even when it's hard." He looked back at Malik. "Mr. Renard embodies all of that, and I'm proud to have him on our team." The room erupted in quiet applause. Malik felt his chest tighten, not from anxiety, from something else. Pride, belonging, recognition. After the meeting ended, Donovan pulled him aside. "Walk with me." They left the conference room, walked through the hallways, past offices and cubicles and people who nodded respectfully as Donovan passed. "I want to thank you personally," Donovan said. "Averly is everything to me. Knowing someone like you was there when she needed help, that means more than you know. I didn't know who she was. I know. That's what makes it matter. They stopped near the lobby. The same lobby where Malik had been humiliated 2 months ago. I also wanted to tell you something, Donovan continued. We're expanding, opening a new division. I'm looking for someone to lead it, someone with integrity, someone I can trust. He turned to face Malik fully. I'd like that person to be you. Malik's breath caught. Sir, I've only been here 2 months. And in 2 months, you've proven more than most people do in 2 years. Donovan smiled. Think about it. Talk to your daughter. Let me know. He shook Malik's hand again, then walked toward the elevator. Malik stood in the lobby, staring at the spot where everything had fallen apart, where Grant had dismissed him, where he'd walked out with nothing. And now he was being offered something he'd never imagined. He pulled out his phone, texted Leora. Guess what? 3 dots appeared. What? I'll tell you at dinner. Somewhere nice. Yay. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, baby girl. He put the phone away, walked toward the doors. The glass reflected his image back at him. But this time, he didn't see a man who'd been rejected. He saw someone who'd earned his place. Not by compromising, not by cutting corners, but by stopping on an empty highway when no one else would. The universe didn't always keep receipts, but when it did, it paid in full. 6 months later, Malik stood outside Leora's school. The afternoon sun warm on his shoulders. Kids flooded out the doors. Laughter and backpacks and parents calling names. Leora appeared, but this time she wasn't running. She walked with 2 other girls, talking, smiling, her confidence radiating in ways it hadn't before. She saw him and waved. Said goodbye to her friends. Walked over. Hey, Daddy. Hey, baby. Good day. Really good. We got our science projects back. I got an A. That's my girl. They walked to the car. She climbed in. He started the engine. Where are we going? Thought we'd stop by the new office. You haven't seen it yet. Her eyes lit up. Really? Really? The new division headquarters sat on the east side of town. Smaller than the main building, but modern, clean, full of potential. Malik pulled into the lot, parked in the spot marked Director of Operations. His spot. They walked inside. Employees greeted him, called her by name. This is my daughter, Leora, he said to everyone they passed. She beamed. He showed her his office, the desk, the window that overlooked the city, the shelf where he'd already placed her drawing, the one with the stick figures holding hands under the yellow sun. She walked over to it, touched the frame. You kept it. Of course I kept it. She turned and hugged him. I'm so proud of you, Daddy. His throat tightened. I'm proud of you too. They stayed for a little while, then headed home. That night, after dinner, Malik sat on the couch. Leora curled up beside him. Daddy, yeah. Do you ever think about that day? When you helped that lady? He smiled. Sometimes. Are you glad you stopped? He looked down at her, at the face that made everything worth it. Yeah, baby. I'm glad. She nodded, snuggled closer. The apartment was quiet, but it wasn't the heavy silence of bills and stress and uncertainty. It was peace. He'd learned something that day on the highway. Kindness doesn't always pay immediately. Sometimes it takes days, weeks, months. Sometimes it costs you everything you thought you wanted. But when the universe finally catches up, when the right person sees you at the right moment, it pays in ways arrogance and shortcuts and easy roads never will. Malik kissed the top of Leora's head. She was already asleep. He picked her up, carried her to bed, tucked her in. Then he walked back to the living room, stood by the window. The city lights stretched out before him, endless, bright, and for the first time in his life, he felt like he was part of them. Not invisible, not struggling, not forgotten, just seen by the one person who mattered most when it counted. Sometimes sacrifice is witnessed by the right eyes. And when it is, justice doesn't just arrive. It transforms everything. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you never miss another story of real-life justice and redemption. Drop a comment below and tell us what this meant to you. Your words might inspire someone else who needs to hear it today. Share this video with someone who believes in doing the right thing, even when it costs them everything. Because stories like this remind us that kindness is never wasted. It's just waiting for the right moment to come back around. We'll see you in the next one. 3 years later, the auditorium lights dimmed. 500 employees filled the seats. The stage glowed under soft spotlights. Malik stood backstage. His palms were slightly damp. Public speaking still made him nervous. But this wasn't just any speech. This was the annual Horizon Group Excellence Awards. And tonight, he wasn't receiving an award. He was presenting one. Avalee appeared beside him, her presence calm and steady as always. You ready? He adjusted his tie. As ready as I'll be. She smiled. You're gonna do great. Just speak from the heart. That's all anyone needs. Music filled the auditorium. The host walked onto the stage. Applause rippled through the crowd. Malik watched from the wings as awards were given. Employee of the Year, Innovation Excellence, Community Impact. Each winner walked across the stage, shook hands, accepted their plaque. Then the host's voice rang out. And now, for our final award of the evening. The Founders Award for Outstanding Character and Leadership. Please welcome Director of Operations, Malik Renard. The applause swelled. Malik stepped onto the stage. The lights were brighter than he expected. Warmer. He walked to the podium, gripped the edges, looked out at the sea of faces. Deep breath. 3 years ago, I was driving to a job interview that I thought would change my life. The room went quiet. I was a single dad working 2 part-time jobs, falling behind on rent, struggling to give my daughter the life she deserved. That interview felt like my last chance. He paused, let the weight of those words settle. But on the way there, I saw a woman stranded on the side of the highway. Her car had broken down. The road was empty. Help wasn't coming. A few people in the audience nodded. They'd heard this story before, but not like this. I had a choice. Keep driving and make it to the interview on time, or stop and help someone I didn't know. His voice steadied. I stopped, and because I stopped, I missed the interview. I showed up 45 minutes late. I was humiliated, dismissed, told I wasn't worth the company's time. He saw faces in the crowd react. Some looked surprised, others nodded knowingly. I walked out of this building thinking I'd lost everything, that doing the right thing had cost me the one opportunity that could have saved me. He glanced toward the side of the stage. Avalee stood there, watching, smiling. But the woman I helped that day wasn't just anyone. She was Avalee Dane, chair of this company, and she didn't forget what I did. She didn't let my sacrifice go unnoticed. The applause started soft, then grew. Malik raised a hand gently. The room quieted again. Tonight, I'm here to present an award that means more to me than any title or position ever could. The Founders Award recognizes someone who embodies the values this company was built on. Integrity, compassion, doing what's right even when no one's watching. He opened the envelope in his hands. This year's recipient is someone many of you know, someone who's worked in our logistics department for 12 years, someone who shows up early, stays late, helps colleagues without being asked, and who, 6 months ago, used their own money to cover a co-worker's medical expenses when they couldn't afford treatment. Murmurs rippled through the audience. This person has never asked for recognition, never sought the spotlight. They just do the work, quietly, consistently, with a kindness that makes everyone around them better. He looked down at the card. This year's Founders Award goes to Jasmine Toussaint. The auditorium erupted. A woman in the 3rd row stood. Her hand went to her mouth, tears already forming. She walked toward the stage, each step measured, disbelieving. Malik met her at the stairs, helped her up, handed her the Crystal Award. She stared at it, then at him. "Thank you," she whispered. He leaned closer. "No, thank you for showing the rest of us what this company should be." She hugged him. The applause continued. When she stepped to the microphone, her voice shook. "I don't know what to say. I just try to help when I can. The way people helped me when I needed it." Her words were simple, honest, perfect. The ceremony ended 20 minutes later. People filed out. Conversations buzzed. Laughter echoed through the lobby. Malik found Avalee near the exit. "That was beautiful," she said. "It felt right." She nodded. "You know, when I started that award 3 years ago, I created it because of you." He blinked. "What?" "The Founders Award didn't exist before. I established it after what happened with you. I wanted to make sure people like you, people like Jasmine, were seen, celebrated. Malik didn't know what to say. You changed this company, Malik, not just by being a good employee, but by reminding all of us why we do this work in the first place. She extended her hand. He shook it. Thank you, he said. Thank you. Malik left the building and drove home. The streets were quiet. The night air cool through the cracked window. When he pulled into the driveway, the porch light was on. Leora sat on the steps. 11 years old now. Dayir. Smarter. More sure of herself. How'd it go? She asked. It went good. She stood and walked over. Did you give a speech? I did. Was it scary? A little. But I remembered what you told me. What did I tell you? He smiled. That I'm brave even when I don't feel like it. She grinned. You are. They walked inside together. The apartment had changed. New furniture, fresh paint, pictures on the walls. But the drawing, her drawing from 3 years ago, still hung in the same spot. Stick figures holding hands under a yellow sun. That night, after Leora went to bed, Malik sat at the kitchen table. A cup of tea cooling in his hands. He thought about the highway, the broken car, the choice that had changed everything. He thought about Grant Laramie. He'd heard through the grapevine that Grant had found work at another company. Smaller, less prestigious. Malik didn't take pleasure in that. He just hoped the man had learned something. He thought about Jasmine, about the award, about the tears in her eyes when her name was called. And he thought about the hundreds of small moments in between. The decisions no one saw. The kindnesses no one recorded. The sacrifices people made every single day that never made it onto a stage. Those moments mattered too, maybe even more, because most of the time, kindness didn't come with awards or recognition or second chances. Most of the time, it was just the quiet decision to stop when everyone else kept driving, to help when helping cost you something, to choose right over easy. And maybe that was enough. Malik finished his tea, rinsed the cup, turned off the kitchen light. Before he walked to his room, he stopped at Leora's door, cracked it open slightly. She was asleep, her breathing soft and steady. He watched her for a moment. Everything he'd done, every struggle, every sacrifice, every impossible choice had been for her. And somehow, impossibly, it had all worked out. Not because the universe owed him anything, but because one person had been watching at exactly the right moment. And she'd refused to let his kindness disappear into the silence of an empty highway. Malik closed the door gently, walked to his room, laid down in the darkness. And for the first time in years, he fell asleep without worry. Because he learned the most important lesson of all. Sacrifice isn't wasted when it's witnessed by the right heart. And sometimes, just sometimes, the right heart is closer than you think. Watching, remembering, waiting for the perfect moment to turn your pain into purpose. Your loss into legacy. Your kindness into a story that changes everything. The end.